everybody. It is Psych Chrissy here. Are you loving my new mask? I bloody wish I was in Paris, let me tell you now, but I am absolutely not. But I'm here, everybody, for tonight's Life Crusher Live. So welcome. I will try and take this off because I don't think it's going to serve me very well. Oh, what have we got here? Oh, Jesus. Hang on, what about this one? Oh, God, no. What about we just have Psych Chrissy? How does that sound, guys? Hey everybody, it's Psych Chrissy here. Welcome to another episode of Life Crusher Live. I'm here, I'm pumped, and I'm getting you guys excited and motivated because I am getting ready for the next launch of the Mind Body Bootcamp. And I thought in the lead up to that, I'm going to talk about all the things that I see challenge people when they're trying to make changes in their life, because pretty much what I do in psychologically working with people in the Mind Body Bootcamp is I effectively train them on how to overcome these barriers. Because making changes, you know, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And it's just not, you know, when we get sort of bad habits and we get sort of entrenched in our ways, you know, we find it very, very difficult to make changes to some of those behaviours or stay motivated enough to really get the long-term changes that we are after. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time tonight talking about what I see are the things that people trip up on the most when I see them, particularly, you know, a lot of my, what I've seen in particular is what I've seen happen in the boot camps. You know, people join up and, you know, they get all motivated and as they're going along their way and they're making changes to their diet or their lifestyle, or they're trying to get rid of some bad habits, whether it be overeating or smoking, or, you know, they want to get to the gym more, or they just want to be more calmer. They don't want to lose their mind at the kids. You know, they want to work on their coping and their healthy emotional functioning, whatever it is. There are some common patterns that I see that go on for people and tend to destabilise them in that process. So I'm going to give you some insight because the more you know, the more that you're going to be able to understand about yourself if you're plodding along and you're trying to make some changes to your lifestyle. Because if you're not aware, then how can you change it, y'all? Like, you got to know what's going on in your mind and what's getting in your way of making those changes. So that's what I'm going to crack into tonight. Guys, my podcast. There is a post up above me on the page. I've got a massive comp running at the moment. The prize is a $600 wellness package. It's all in celebration of Well AF, my new podcast that is going to be coming out. I have a first episode intro already recorded that you can log in and subscribe and get ready for my new series that's going to drop in the next few weeks. I can't remember the date. I think it's around the 14th of August. The new series is going to drop. So it's called Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself. And it's going to be a series of podcast episodes on me addressing the very things that I find destabilise people in the mind, what goes on for people psychologically, and maybe some tips and tricks on how to overcome those things that, you know, really get in people's way. So, but the whole podcast in itself is in true Psych Chrissy style. It's no bullshit. It's all there for you in your average Joe sort of commentary, which is what I'm all about, bringing psychology to the mainstream. All right, let's crack into it. The biggest challenges that I see people encountering when they're trying to make change. Number one, it's a mindset issue. So they get all motivated and they start doing bits and pieces. And then all of a sudden they get hit in the face a couple of times by some barriers. And what do you think they think? They think, stuff it. They get a case of the old efforts. Efforts or stuff it. Stuff it is probably the more, what could we say, the more politically correct term. When I'm floating around in prison, we do call it the efforts, but I won't do that publicly. We'll save that language for the prison environment. But the stuff it's. So it's a mindset. It's a self-talk barrier. They go, stuff it. I'm not going to do this anymore because, and then they start to engage in a whole range of reasons why it's too difficult for them to go on, or it's too difficult to maintain, the changes that they've been making. A little bit of excuse making probably comes into it. You all hear me bang on and on about the excuse making and how that really does get in people's way. Who have I got here tonight? I've got Caitlin. Caitlin's doing the boot camp. I hope you are getting excited, Caitlin. I hope you're pumped, ready for some action. It's going to be awesome, girl. Caitlin's our boot camp ambassador too, so you'll be seeing some videos roll out of her in the coming weeks. She was sitting in my wellness centre the other day writing a will. Before she goes into boot camp. So I don't know what that means, but look, I think it's going to be an amazing experience for you, Caitlin. So just hang in there with Psych Chrissy, you'll be fine. So the Stuffits, they're a killer. They let people off the hook. It's a mindset issue, as I said. People that start to think in this way pretty much throw their hands up in the air and commonly say, I can't do this because... so it's a really sort of challenging mindset. It's fully a cognitive limitation or barrier that gets in the way. It's all about the thought in that regard. And it really does hamper self-development. So when was the last time you got the Stuffits? I'm sure everybody probably week to week encounters this sort of challenge. So I'm sure you've probably had the Stuffits already one time this week at least. So the second one, it is another mindset issue because it's all about the mindset, guys. It is the control center. It is the decision point. It is the keeper of all of the wisdom is the mind. So, of course, it's going to get in your way when you try and make changes. But the making a mountain out of a molehill, that type of thinking. Hey, Lisa, welcome to Life Crusher Live tonight. Awesome that you're joining Psych Chrissy. I'm pumped that you're here. So, making a mountain out of a molehill. So, they get into their change process. They're like, okay, they're getting all excited. They can do this. They're getting pumped up. And then something bad happens. And they go, oh my God. It's called catastrophizing. Oh my God, I can't do this because, and this happened, but I'm going to make it this big. And hey, Dee, welcome to Life Crusher Live. So they really exaggerate what's going on. And then they use it as an excuse to not do things. So, for example, and I always get fighters on this one as well. Have you noticed that Psych Chrissy gets a lot of fighters in psychology land? But when I'm running the Mind Body Boot Camp, the first thing people want to fight me on is their physical impairments. So they'll say to me, hey, Ange. They'll say to me, Psych Chrissy, so I'm not going to go to boot camp tonight because I've got a really sore back. And I can't really walk and they've been to work all day. And look, it's not a really, really serious sort of injury. It's, but they are, hey, Ness. They will sort of really exaggerate for themselves, whether they're aware of it or not. Their pain's legitimate, but they become so focused on the barrier that it becomes inflated. And unfortunately making a mountain out of a molehill is this nasty sort of effect that starts to kind of drip onto everything. So when they say they overcome their sort of back soreness, they'll get to training and, then they'll start getting all these other sort of injuries bodies, and then before you know it, it's that big in their mind that they're going, oh, I just can't do the physical side of it, and oh, actually I'm not cut out for this boot camp, and oh, I'm sure I just should never have started, and I don't think this boot camp's for me. It just goes on and on and on and on. You know, so what started off as maybe a little bit of a twinge or a bit of soreness, because let's face it, when you haven't exercised in a while, you're going to get sore. That's just the reality of it. And a whole range of other sort of situations that people are trying to make change, you know. So, you know, when I'm treating anxiety with people, one of the first things that I get them to do is start approaching things that make them bloody anxious. Sorry, guys, but that is the gold standard of psychological treatment. You must engage in approach-driven exercises. Hey, Jen, in trying to combat, you know, the level of anxiety that you're getting in response to that problem situation. So what happens is, yeah, they might say they might have anxiety of public speaking, for example. You know, so we'll start off small and I'll say, oh, well, can you do a bit of a speech to 2 or 3 mates, you know? And they're like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And then they'll say to me, oh, well, I went to do it and, yeah, my mate started laughing and then I just thought, oh, well, this is not even funny and I can't do it. And then how am I going to be able to do it to 50 people, let alone the fact that I can't do 3? And then if I can't do 3, then I can't do this. And it just goes on and on. So that is the essence of making a mountain out of a molehill. And I can assure you, you know, if you engage in that type of thinking, you're going to find it very, very hard to make those lifestyle changes that you're after. The next strategy, I don't know whether you guys are part of my lifestyle group. Awesome group. Just Google Infinity Wellness Lifestyle and request membership. It's friggin' awesome. I'm often in there banging on about all kinds of different things when I'm not stepping in dog shit, because I do often talk in there on my morning walks. But I did a video last week on trying to focus on the big picture, and people love the shit out of it. They're like, Psych Chrissy, man, that, you know, I've got to use that strategy. Because when I was floundering around last week, I really had to practice this strategy. But if it's not done correctly, it does trip people over, because what they start to do is they focus on the micro failures. So rather than focusing on the big picture and saying, for example, well, overall, I'm doing well in my healthy lifestyle, they get focused on the small shit that they're not doing well. So they'll be like, oh, I didn't get up and go to the gym this morning. This is just, I knew this wouldn't be right. And then they engage in the rest. The stuff that's come in. Making a mountain out of a molehill comes in. You know, so because they're focusing on the micro failures rather than trying to keep the big picture in their periphery. So keeping stock and keeping perspective is very, very important to coping with sort of the small failures, because when we first try to make change, 100% there's going to be failures. You do not nail it the first time. I'm sorry, but you just don't. So you've got to get used to failures. You've got to be able to, you know, some of the skill building that we have a look at in the Mind Body Bootcamp is how do we cope with failure? You know, how do we get better at managing that from a psychological perspective, because it's part of the game. You know, so there's no way around it. When we're trying things for the first time, or we're trying things for the second or third time, but it's been a time since we've done it, or whatever is the situation, we are going to fail. We've got to change the way that we react to that and cope with it in the hope that we're able to move forward from that. So taking perspective is very, very important in that process, because it keeps us on track. The last one, I see it all the time. I see it in private practice. I see it in prisons. I see it in coaching. I see it in boot camps. I see it in yoga. I see it everywhere. Bloody self-sabotage. We're our own worst enemy most of the time. You know, I see people, you know, trying to make changes to themselves and they just keep tripping themselves over with stuff. You know, and there's shitloads of things that you can trip yourself over on. It could be not being organised enough, not managing your time effectively, not planning, not goal setting, hanging around the wrong people, listening to the wrong advice, not getting the right advice, not seeking the support, not there's a whole range of ways that people self-sabotage. The negative self-talk, not taking care of themselves, not making enough time for self-care. I could sit here all bloody night and go on about how people self-sabotage, but it's those behaviours that really do act sort of incongruently with the way that they want to live their lives. If you're engaging in a behaviour that's not getting you to where you need to go in living a rich and full, meaningful life, then it's self-sabotage. And you got to do something about it, or you'll keep going round and round in circles and driving yourself probably bloody bonkers. So you got to be aware of that, guys. So let's recap. So there's 4 things that I find really do challenge people or trip them up when they're trying to make changes in their lives. Commonly, I see this when people are trying to make healthy lifestyle changes, or they're trying to get better at something or do more of something or whatever it is in living an awesome life. The stuffits or the efforts. It's a mindset issue. The making a mountain out of a molehill type of thinking. The sweating the small shit, so not focusing on the big picture. And the final one is self-sabotaging behaviours. And you have a think about, what are your self-sabotaging behaviours? Because they're absolutely different for everybody, but effectively a self-sabotaging behaviour can be defined as any behaviour that we engage in that is not consistent with the way that we want to live our life and the way that we want to move forward and, the things that are really important to us. So there we go, guys. Biggest challenges to making change. It's a wrap. Of course, there are billions of strategies to overcome some of those challenges. And if you're really, really keen on getting in there and trying to do some work on some of those barriers and difficulties, or you're just really stuck and you want to make healthy lifestyle changes, come and join the boot camp. It's awesome. It's kicking off on August the 21st, I think it is. And I would love for you guys to come and work with me. It's going to be amazing. There's lots of graduates here tonight that have graduated from the boot camp and are doing very, very well. Rosemary is one of those people. Rosemary, although get to yoga, I haven't seen you in a while. Where are you, girl? There we go, guys. Another episode of Life Crusher Live. I hope you enjoyed it. Now get out there and make those changes for Psych Chrissy. Bye, guys.